So I have some upcoming travel in two very, very different locations. The first one being Iceland for about 2 weeks, and the second one being Namibia, South Africa, for about 2 weeks. Now, I'm very familiar with the weather conditions of Iceland. I've been there many times before. It'll be toward the end of summer, and so these conditions will typically be milder than normal. But I've never been to Africa, and this will be my first time being in the dunes of Namibia, which I'm really, really looking forward to. And as you can imagine, the conditions will be very, very different. Now, seeing as these trips will be back to back, I wanted to go over 20 essential gear items that won't be leaving my bag, regardless of which country I'm in and the conditions I'm in. So both trips are landscape photography focused, but I have some additional goals to get a lot of video content as well. So bear that in mind as I'm going through this list of essentials, because I know that I will be packing slightly heavier than what I typically would if I were to be just worrying about photos. So these are not brand specific. This is utilitarian. This is very pragmatic. I'm not necessarily focusing on any specific type of brand. Really, I'm going over each item just based off of its utility and purpose of the trip and how the importance of functionality will be in both countries. So the first thing, packing a good tripod. Now, I used to be in the camp of minimalist tripod, the smallest, the lightest, carbon fiber, the smallest footprint you could have in your bag. But with failure comes experience, and I have learned that a sturdy yet somewhat light tripod, especially when the goal is landscape photography, is always worth the wait. This one in particular has been with me on quite a few different trips. I've taken it apart and done some thorough cleaning, so I'm very familiar with this system and setup. Again, when there's wind, when there's sand, when there's water, the last thing you want to be concerned with is your fancy camera falling for some horrible, horrible reason. So tripod is essential item number one. So second thing, very obvious, but a blower. Sensors, lenses, gear, tripods. I've used my blower to blow out sand in my tripod legs before. Very convenient, very small, very light footprint. It is a very critical tool to bring on every single landscape tour. All right, item number 3. Like I said, I'll be recording quite a bit of video content, and so having wireless mics is really, really important to me. Whether I'm recording monologue out in the field or want to pick up any sort of ambient Foley, I can do that very, very easily with a pair of wireless mics. Item number 4 is a hood or a cover for your camera. This has come in handy more than once, more than twice, more than 3 times in keeping my camera out in the elements just a little bit longer. A camera in your bag is a camera that you're not shooting with. And so if you're in weather and you're consistently opening and closing your bag to get your camera out and then put it back to keep it from the elements, not only is that going to get the inside of your bag wet or dirty, but you're also going to miss those moments in between the times that your camera is in your bag. The camera that I shoot with, the Hasselblad, it doesn't have an official weather rating, so I keep this on my bag when I travel all the time because I never know when I need a little bit of cover from the rain, or in this case, from the sand when I'm in South Africa. Obviously, you want to make sure you get one that fits the body and lens of your camera. These ones, they typically will range in either size or barrel size, depending on what kind of lens you're anticipating putting on your camera. But again, having one of these in your bag at all times, just as a backup, is super, super handy. All right, item number 5, headlamp. Whether you're finding your way around in the dark, or if your electricity goes out, or if you're out in the field and you're trying to navigate your buttons because you're about to shoot aurora, having a light that you don't have to rely on in your hands is a very, very convenient thing. And again, this is like A tier, S tier. Hands-free lighting source is pretty key whenever you're traveling, especially for landscapes. One thing to note about Headlamp is that it's red light compatible. That way your light is much less distracting when you flip it on and someone is shooting aurora next to you. All right, item number 6. This is my tech/cleaning bag. What goes in here is cleaning solution, sensor squeegees, alcohol wipes for lenses, as well as all my cords, my power adapters, everything else in one convenient case so that it's not scattered around in your bag. Or if your bag gets wet, you want to keep this stuff as dry as possible. That's why I keep it in one other separate bag within my bag. All right, item number 7 is a data transfer solution. Whether you want to back something up on your computer or you want to store SD cards, this one in particular is phenomenal. It can store quite a few different types of SD cards, micro SD, CF Express, and then it has a high-speed data transfer, USB-C to your computer. It's also weather sealed, I think. It's got rubber gaskets around the edges, closes very conveniently. So have a data transfer solution on hand in your bag whenever you travel. All right, item number 8 is a pocket knife. Obviously, you have to be careful when you're traveling with one of these. You need to check it when applicable, but having one on hand or in your bag when you're out and about in the field can be really, really helpful. Anything from, getting out a big splinter to prying open gear. I mean, cutting straps, you name it, it does it. This is more of a safety precaution than anything else. And it's something that I always keep in my bag. Number 9 is having a small, very small drying cloth. You want to try to avoid putting wet gear in your bag at all possible. Or if you have to, make sure that whenever you get back to a dry spot, your lodging, whatever, that you take out your wet and damp gear and dry it off as quickly as possible. The last thing you want is your gear sitting overnight in moisture. So having something like a very small cloth is something that I always take with me. I typically will put it in my jacket so that if I'm about to put my camera back in my bag, I'll wipe it down, make sure it's mostly dry when I put it back in my bag, and then put it right back in my jacket pocket. Something like this stays with me at all times whenever I'm out in the field. All right, item number 10 is a good pair of sunglasses. Now, these ones in particular have the windshields on the side. Now, these windshields are great for wind, rain, snow, and sand. So having a good pair of sunglasses is going to be great for the fatigue on your eyes. If you care about windshields at all, I think it makes a difference. I think it makes your eyes just much more comfortable when you're out in pretty severe weather. You don't want to worry about squinting or shading your eyes if it's super sunny out. Again, it helps with fatigue. And if it's windy, rainy, or sandy out, this will help keep all that distraction out of your eyes. So next item is just having a portable hard drive. You always want to back up that precious data whenever you're out in the field. Now, I try to keep it in multiple spots. I try to leave assets on my SD card as long as possible until I have to dump it and format it. But typically, I try to leave all of my assets in 3 locations: my computer, the actual SD card, and the external hard drive. So having one of these that's small, takes up a tiny footprint in your bag, super worth it. Last thing you want to do is lose all that data that you traveled so hard for and worked so hard for. Try to keep your data backed up in at least 2 locations. When you have to format your cards, make sure you double and triple and quadruple check that you have the assets that you're about to format, either on an external hard drive or on your computer. Keeping your assets on at least 2 locations is what I try to do. So having an external hard drive, key. All right, next item, filters. Whether you're just focused on photography or whether you're focused on video, packing the right CPs or VNDs is critical. Not necessarily brand specific, but make sure you have the filter threads you need, the step-up rings that you need in order to fit the filters that you need. I've recently made the move or the upgrade to go to these ones where they all kind of mount on the same filter thread and you can easily twist them on and off, regardless of your filter thread size of the lens. Speed, convenience, packing as little filters as possible is key for me. And so having a universal mount like this, where you're just switching off the filter top, is something that I really enjoy. All right, next item is just external power. Last thing you want to do is get caught without power for your gear. And so having an external power source that's either USB or USB-C compatible, super critical. This one's kind of an obvious one, but again, it's one that stays in my bag regardless of where I go. All right, medical kit, self-explanatory. Light, portable, it's what you need, when you need it, keep it in your bag. You don't want any accidents. Or if you do have accidents, you want to be able to take care of them. Next item, my drone. My trusty drone. This thing has been through a lot. I've had it for quite a few years. I have my drone license here in the States. Obviously, that license is not necessarily recognized in other countries. Other countries, depending on the country, have very restrictive airspace regulations. Now, some countries, like Japan, will actually recognize a US-based equivalent Part 107 license. However, you still have to apply through their airspace authority website to get approval of limits and altitude and all that stuff. So if you bring your drone, please be vigilant about when you fly, where you fly. Make sure you're following all the guidelines, make sure you're following all the rules. Iceland is a lot less restrictive and Namibia is a lot more restrictive. So it's up to you to consider whether or not bringing a drone is worth it. It's up to you to do your due diligence and follow all of the national guidelines. But if and when you do follow all the guidelines, I think having the aerial perspective wherever you are adds just a ton of value. So I always bring my drone. I always bring one that's slightly heavier. I don't really bring the airs because they are just too light for the countries that I fly in. I like bringing drones that are slightly heavier, slightly bulkier, and can put up with a bit more extreme weather conditions. But I always bring my drone. All right, next one, just action cam. I'm not typically an action cam guy, but the Osmo Nano in particular really intrigued me because of its magnetic mounting base. I can mount it to my chest, I can mount it to my hat. Having something very, very small that can capture those sorts of FPV BTS moments is something that I wanted to integrate into my kit. So I'll be bringing this to both countries. Again, most of this gear, like 98% of this gear is tried and tested. This one will be a new one. We'll see how much I use it, but I'm happy to integrate it in my kit. All right, next one is just a power adapter that can take either USB or USB-C. Make sure that wherever you're traveling, that you're aware of what types of plugs that they use. Obviously, plugs vary in different types of countries, but this one in particular, I love because it's a very high watt power adapter that can integrate multiple types of USB or USB-C charging cables. Having a wide lens variation. This one is the 25mm prime. Now I'm contemplating just renting the 20 to 35mm as that just gives me slightly wider focal length and field of view. But having a super fast wide angle lens as an option is really important. I'm looking forward to possibly capturing quite a bit of astro down in South Africa. We're also going to be photographing a unique abandoned mining town down in South Africa that will require a pretty wide focal length. So I will either be bringing this one, the fixed prime 25mm, or I'll be renting the 20 to 35. So second to last thing that I'm keeping in my bag is my video camera. I shoot on the Lumix S1 II. I'm keeping the 24 to 70 on there the whole time, just so I don't have to worry about it. I'm not bringing any primes for my Lumix. I'm just keeping the 24 to 70 on there. It's strictly for video monologue, YouTube, stock video purposes alone. So I don't need primes at all. I strictly need versatility, and that's why I'm just taking the 24-70. Now, it is a bulky camera. It's a bulky lens. It's not super ideal, but I think that because I'm not bringing as many primes on my photo camera, I can justify the weight and the size of the Lumix S1 II with the 24-70. Again, not super ideal, but I want the quality that it has. I want the reach that it has. I want that versatility so that I can do a lot of filming out in the field. We'll see if it's worth the wait. All right, very last thing, my photo camera. I plan on just bringing 2 lenses for this camera, the 35-100, and then like I said before, I will either bring the 25mm prime or I'll rent the 20-35mm. Still on the fence about it. I don't know if I need that extra focal length on the wide end. The 25mm prime is a faster lens than the 20-35mm. But obviously it's a prime versus a zoom. I think the prime is slightly smaller, is slightly lighter as well, but it'll just be those 2 lenses and the camera body that I'll be bringing. So that's my list. 20 essential gear items that won't be leaving my bag in Iceland and South Africa. I hope you found it useful. I hope you took something out of it. And I really appreciate you watching. If you don't mind, liking, subscribing, obviously helps the channel out. And I really, really, really honestly appreciate all the engagement that I've had from you all on the last couple of videos. It's been amazing. I hope to get a ton of amazing content out in these 2 countries for you all, and I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. I'll see you in the next video.